Hello and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henry and I am your host. And welcome. So, if you are new to listening to podcasts or listening to Ticket to Life, this podcast is about life. It's about everything we go through, ups, downs, and crazy stuff because life is crazy. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I am not a therapist. These are only my opinions. So, how many football fans do we have out there? I know we have plenty. So some of you are in a fantasy football league, as I am. Within the past few weekends was your last chance to get into the playoffs, I'm sure. I am wishing you all good luck. And if you made the playoffs, just good luck. And just remember, it is just a game. And it's for fun. I love football. I'm hoping to make the playoffs. This recording is, I will find out next week if I made it or not. This recording is a little bit earlier before our playoffs actually take place. But anyway, it's fun. I enjoy football. My whole family does. And I'm sure many of you have noticed how much more pushing and shoving has happened this year in the games. They do a play, then all of a sudden everybody go back, to where your side, your little group, but there's more than regular plays. When the play is over, there's a little bit extra shoving and punching. And a couple of weeks ago, head of security for the Eagles got into it with a player. I don't know. It's just crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me. Let's move on and continue playing good. Like good little children should. But we have to remember these are grown men getting paid lots of money. And perhaps it's just the kid in them, feeling like they got their little feelings hurt or someone pointed in their face, which is rude. But I feel as though the NFL is catching up on, the bullying, as I like to call it, on the field. We have to remember that this game is just for us, and it's sports entertainment, and I do love it. And when a player is interviewed, I enjoy listening to a player being interviewed and saying, this is a game. We're a family. We're here to have fun. And that's what it's about. It is sports entertainment for all of us who watch, and we appreciate you, and you feel like you see these injuries are crazy that they get. The poor guy that got nailed, he was part of the chain crew. Those are the guys that have the poles with the chain. Some people call them the chain gang, and they tell you where the downs are for the ball. But anyway, so this poor guy is just doing his job. He was literally doing his job on the sidelines, with his little chain and pole, and bam, the lower part of the leg was pointing in the opposite direction. It was horrible looking. I mean, it was awful. So it's dangerous just to be on the sidelines as a cameraman, coaching. Anyway, well, where I'm getting at is that we love Christmas, but yet we love football too. But we love Christmas more. It is almost Christmas. And just like Christmas, it's supposed to be fun, right? I mean, who doesn't love Christmas? I love Christmas. I like decorating. I enjoy the lights. So, where I'm getting at is don't get caught up in the Christmas chaos that so many of us do. We forget the reason for the season is to celebrate the birth of Christ. Oh, you are a non-believer, and that's okay for you. But you must remember not to become a Grinch or an Ebenezer Scrooge and bash the believers. And I'm sure they will not bash you for what you believe in or what you don't believe in. Now, if the believers do bash your beliefs, then shame on them. But for all the believers that bash other people, we must remember God is always watching. He's always watching. I mean, that's like growing up and knowing your parents somehow, some way knew what you were doing. We could swear my mother had eyes in the back of her head. It was amazing what she would catch us doing. But anyway, that's the whole thing for me with Christmas. We forget what, as they say, the reason for the season. And it is a time, it's a crazy time, and it's very chaotic. What else do I mean by Christmas chaos? Literally juggling our lives, your kid's life, overcommitting, family gatherings, family feuds, and I don't mean the game show, budgeting, getting into debt, which debt is never a good idea, traveling to places to visit people you don't really want to go travel to see, and too much drinking. And the list can go on and on. But it doesn't always have to be this way. Yet, I know that we are creatures of habit, and it can be hard to change our ways. But if you're dreading the holidays, then definitely it's time to change your holiday ways because you don't deserve that time, especially if you get that time off from work to be with your family. You need to make the best of it, or at least try. I don't want to say you need to or you have to, but you need to do what's good for you and what's good for your family. Remember, you only live once, and life is way too short. So we need to try to make sure that we don't stress out too much. Although we all do stress out to a certain degree at this time. This year of Christmas and New Year's and the end of the year, and your kids are at home from school and you don't have childcare. There is always something. And you don't have time to get off. It's just one of those things. And, sometimes people just say, I just have bad luck. And it just never fails. We don't have money. We don't do this. And it's what we have to teach ourselves to do. Now, if you have a personal assistant that does everything, and I mean everything except to your food, then you are very privileged. But also they have the privilege of stressing out for you because you're stressing them out by don't forget to do this and don't forget to do that. So be sure if you do have a personal assistant to treat them right. Would I love a personal assistant? No, not really. I like doing stuff on my own, but I just wouldn't. I that's just me. So just remember, and not even if you don't have a personal assistant, remember, just treat people right. It's the right thing to do and you will feel so much better about it. And I know I tend to stress out too, but not as bad as I used to. I used to stress out every Christmas. It's like, we're going to have to go to my mom-in-law's. We're going to have to, try to do this with the kids. It was just like running around and it wasn't fun. I felt like we weren't making any of our own family traditions. But as like I said, I used to get stressed out, but I have to admit I've gotten better. And family dynamics change. Mine has changed totally, where it was my son and his wife, and now we have a grandson with them, and my daughter and her husband, and my two granddaughters, and now my daughter's gone out of state, and this will be my first Christmas without her since she's been born, and it's crazy. And again, it's going to be different, just like Thanksgiving was, but things happen. Dynamics of family changes as everyone gets older and starts families of their own. And it's great, yet it's really sad for some. Now, if your kids are still living with you at home and they're adults and you would like your dynamics to change, you need to have a serious talk with them. Unless they're hitting on hard times and that's why they're staying with you. But if they're just mooching off of you, I think that should be your Christmas present. Say, I love you, but it's time to spread your wings. Easier said than done, I know, because being a parent is one of the hardest jobs anyone will ever had, and you don't want to hurt your kids' feelings. But back to being with family, it can be kind of crazy when you do get everyone together for Christmas or special events. And what if, now these are things that have actually happened to me. So Christmas is at your house and you're hosting, and it has become a scene from Christmas Vacation where there's chaos due to a squirrel, but there's no squirrel in your house, just people or family or friends that you only see at Christmas. You see them at birthdays, weddings, funerals. Well, you get the gist of it. And the funny thing is that some of these folks are the ones that actually have the nerve to come to your house that once a year and criticize something. They may criticize about your food that they don't like it? Or why did you do it this way? Because that's how I do it. Your house looks great, but your towels really don't match in your restroom. And chuckle when they're stating this. Like, really? You come to my house? You come into my house and tell me why you don't like this? And then, so this is the best part. When they come to your house and they start criticizing and say, one of them came in one time, why is it so bright in here? Because it's Christmas and I have freaking lights everywhere. That's why. Why did you move the table this way? It looks better the other way. I'm sorry, but who's coming to visit me and have the audacity to say something like this? Family, friends, they do it. Not me when I visit. But when they say something like, oh, my interior decorator did a beautiful job, I'll give you her number. Before you go crazy, then that's when you pipe up and just say, oh, I would love to see it. You should host Christmas next year, and out loud, just announce it to everyone that's in the room and say, the names have been changed to protect the innocent, just to let you know. That's when you announce it to all the guests, because that's what you have to do. People need to respect your home. And sometimes people get too comfortable, especially when you're younger and you're supposed to respect your elders, as we still do, but then they forget that you're an adult too. And you have a voice. And it's not to start a family feud. It's just to let them know this is my house and you really shouldn't do that. So you get to host next year. Done and done. And remember one thing. A simple note to remember is within 24 hours, your house will be your house again. And until next year. Although that Aunt Delilah will probably be on a cruise to Mexico, the Bahamas, Bora Bora, and not make Christmas. And she will miss the fact that you're hosting and that your towels are still officiated in the bathroom. Can you believe that? People are crazy. And they're family. And that's just it. Again, I've said we don't pick our family. It's like, here's your family. Enjoy. Do as you will with them. Now, I do love family. I love my husband's side of the family. I love my family. I come from a family of 6, my parents who have gone on to heaven and celebrating Christmas in heaven without us. But I guess my time hasn't come yet for that. But anyway, and then I have my siblings, my 2 sisters, my brother, my wonderful son and daughter-in-law, and my wonderful daughter and son-in-law. Grandkids, and I just love family. We have a stepson. It's just God has blessed us, and we have always been close, and we've gotten closer. I know it sounds horrible, but after my mom passed away, it just brought us siblings even closer. So family is very important to me, and Christmas chaos just does exist. It happens with all the chaos in a house and people saying things. But if you can't afford Christmas this year or any other year, be upfront about it and say, I can't do Christmas this year. We're low on cash. You can always bake cookies. And if you don't know how to bake cookies, then go get some inexpensive cookies. Go to the Dollar Tree, put them in a Dollar Tree bag. And if your family looks at you so sad, then hopefully it's compassion and they get it. But if they give you a smart aleck remark, just kind of just, hey, ask them for their credit card and tell them you'll go buy them something really nice. They can pay it off. But don't ever borrow money, because you will never hear the end of it. Remember the year we helped you with Christmas? Trust me, go the cookie route. It's really so much better. And if they don't get it, I'm sorry, but family just needs to understand. They do. And so do friends, close friends that are almost like family. They just need to get it. So at least if you can possibly buy for your own kids, because kids, even if it's one thing, kids do deserve something. Because, okay, now back to adults. Now, especially adults, family needs, honestly, what do you need as an adult that you cannot buy for yourself? Like need, not want, but need. Because usually people, and I would rather get something I want from someone, like a gift card, so that I can go get what I want. Or I would rather someone give me nothing. And honestly, I am not going to get my feelings hurt. I don't need anything in my life. At 65, you don't need anything. You just don't. Um, my house, I have so much stuff in this house. I'm not a hoarder, but sometimes I'm wondering if I am. But we have just so much in our home. We've been married 40 years, and both of our sets of parents have passed away. So, you get stuff, and I just don't need anything. And if you're in that situation, you just realize, look around. Do you really need anything? You just want something. But if I want something, I can go buy it throughout the year. We have a car and a house, and I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed to have those things. And I just don't need anything. That's how it is. I don't know. I think at one point adults don't need gifts from other adults in the family. Or, if you do a sock exchange, that's always fun. We used to do a gift card exchange. We'd do a gift and an ornament exchange. And that's my family, but now we've stopped. And even on my husband's side of the family, we just get together for a meal. We're all, at this age, I'm hoping that you are not struggling. But if you have family, they will honestly, they should understand. So, one more thing. Don't you hate it when people say, let's get together and we're not exchanging gifts this year? Okay. I just want to spend time with you, and that's my gift. Then they come over and they have gifts for everyone. Lordy, this has happened to me way too many times. I say thanks graciously and move on. Do I feel guilty? Well, I used to, but I don't any longer. Will I feel guilty? No, because I abided by the rules, no gifts. Because usually I am a rule breaker, but when someone says no gifts, that means no gifts. Now, if I take a bottle of wine or something, that's different. That's for everybody. So anyway, just remember those little easy things that we need to remember, that sometimes we just can't afford Christmas. Sometimes we can. It's a different situation for everyone. Then there's the joyous event of Family Feud. And this happens each and every year. And yet they get together. And remember, all families are not alike. And we have some flaws. The cause of these feuds can be, speaking of politics, something in the past, or even religion. Some people just can't talk about those things without getting upset. So I've come up with an idea. Early in the morning, you come up with Christmasitis. And no, there's no such thing. It's a Henry made up thing. And can't make the once a year family family gathering. And enjoy your quiet Christmas at home. Now, if you have small children, they might rat you out. So this is where your thespian/acting skills may need to come in and take place. Early in the morning, and you're not feeling well, and then with the Christmas magic and miraculously, I can't even say it, are feeling much better by noon, and too late to pack everyone up and go to someone's house. By then, your turkey that you put in the oven earlier should be done, and the pies you made early yesterday, they should be done. And if you take any of my hints to eliminate Christmas chaos, I'm just saying, please, please, please don't rat me out. Otherwise, I will need to send Krampus your way. Oh, you have never heard of Krampus. I'm probably saying that wrong. Well, actually, I hadn't either until last year when I recorded a Christmas podcast and looking up different holiday, traditions or whatever. Well, Krampus, I think it's Krampus, is a legend in Central Europe. It's a half goat and half monster with horns, and punishes children who misbehave. I wonder if he should punish adults who misbehave, because I could send them to a few people's houses. Well, if that doesn't scare you, nothing will, because I think it would really freak me out if I woke up one morning and this half goat monster looking thing with horns was in my house. It originated, and yes, there's no such thing. Don't everyone panic and think I'm horrible. It originated in Germany, and his name derives from the word Krampen, which means claw, Claw, not claws like Santa Claus. But don't worry, I won't send Krampus your way. I am more traditional with Santa, and although Santa is kind of freaky too, someone I knew, their child was terrified coming in their house in the middle of the night to bring gifts was kind of creepy. I mean, isn't that breaking and entering? Isn't that like you're going into some? I mean, think about it. So, when you have little kids that their minds overthink things, there's like, wait, you're allowing someone to come into our house through our chimney into our home. Yeah, that is kind of scary if you think about it, because if that happened to me now, I would definitely freak out. But anyway, like I said, don't worry. I won't send Krampus your way. I am more traditional with Santa and the lump of coal. Now, I'm sure that I have never received a lump of coal, but pretty sure that Santa thought about it many a time that I needed a lump of coal, even as an adult. But honestly, again, all silliness aside, I hope if you have the blessing of having family and friends together at this special time of year, take advantage of it. If you've had an argument with someone about anything, life passes us by so quickly. And if they were in the wrong and don't want to say, I'm sorry, just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, we're getting together. If they're nasty, at least you made the attempt. And I know that's hard. And if you were wrong, learn to say, I'm sorry, because it's very, very important to be able to apologize and accept people for who they are. And yes, we all have faults. None of us are perfect. If you know someone that will be alone, ask them to come over. And if you don't want them, at least take them a plate of food or the cookies you baked. For many people, this is a very hard time of year. Now, for some, this may be the first Christmas that they are alone. Many have suffered from losing a loved one, broken hearts. Could be down on your luck. But remember, you are not alone in any of these situations. Suicide crisis centers are open 24/7. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, open 24/7. If you or know of someone who could be going through a really hard time and you do worry about people, a neighbor, a friend, a coworker, or even family member, please let them know they're not alone. I will go ahead and give you the National Domestic Violence Hotline number. I gave it in my last podcast, but I'll give it again, and it is 1-800-799-SAFE, S-A-F-E, or 1-800-799-7233. And you can also text the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 88788. Also, the Suicide Crisis Center, 988. That is then someone that has been trained is there to answer, someone to talk to. If you're feeling lost this Christmas, call them. And this is 24/7. They're free. And again, 988 for the Suicide Crisis Lifeline. And I know Christmas is such a joyous time. It is a wonderful time. And it is a wonderful time to think of others. It's hard for some people to come around. And if you have had a disagreement with someone, a family member or friend that has been very close and dear to you, this is the time to make amends. Just pick up the phone. If not, send them a Christmas card and wish them well. And I know that's very hard for a lot of people to do. It used to be hard for me, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I probably don't like being wrong like anyone else, but if it's the truth, then it is the truth. And if you get a response, that's great. And if you do, unfortunately, for their loss, you attempted it. But life is so short. You don't know what could happen within 24 hours. It's a life-changing thing from day to day. We're not promised tomorrow, as my mom always used to say, and my son says. So live today as though it's your last. just, and I'm not trying to sound sad after the silliness and stuff I've talked. This is reality now, and unfortunately, this is a real thing. There are so many people out there that are not as fortunate as you. If you are actually listening to this radio show on WDJY 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta, or if you're listening on to this podcast on any of the your favorite podcast listening stations, then just know that you are very fortunate. You are able to sit down and listen to a podcast. There's some people who don't even know what a podcast is, or to even hear of someone, and not even my podcast, anyone's podcast. It is a blessing for me to be able to reach out to you. And I do appreciate you allowing me to come into your life and share what I believe and my opinions. And sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're not. But again, there are so many people out there who don't have what you have. Apparently, you either have a radio or you have a computer or a smart device that you're able to use. And that is such a blessing. If you have a roof over your head, food on your table, remember you are blessed with these things. And for many of these people, as I have said, this is a very, very hard time of year. And unfortunately, it is Christmas, and it is all about joy and happiness and the birth of Christ and little children getting gifts and filling stockings. We are so our traditions here in the U.S. are so amazing. Well, throughout the world, not just the U.S., throughout the world. And yet there are wars going on. And my whole thing is I pray for peace daily. I pray the rosary and I pray for peace. I know some of you don't believe in the rosary, but this is what I do. But anyway, I pray and I pray for peace. And I'm asking you to please take some time and pray for those that are not as fortunate as you are. Because someone somewhere doesn't have a quarter of what you have in your life. So this is Henry, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Whatever you celebrate, just being with family this time of year, I hope that you have a wonderful break from your job or break from your family, whatever you choose to do this year for this holiday season. I thank you again for listening. And until next week, this is Henry. And as I like to end my podcast, as always, look around because you are blessed. Look around and go find your blessings because they could be right in front of you. Until next week, this is Henry. Thank you so much for listening.